Hello and welcome to the Confidence Academy podcast. My name is Lily Badcock and I am a transformational confidence coach and founder of the Confidence Academy Members Club, helping men and women just like you to build unshakable confidence and self-belief. Each week, I will be bringing you new episodes with advice and guidance to help you rebuild lost confidence, manage anxiety, and finally start living the life you were born to live. It is my aim to reach as many people as possible with the message that no matter what you're going through, no matter what your struggle may be, there is hope. And there is a way to create an amazing life for yourself. The incredible people I have been blessed to interview on the show are walking, talking examples of how this is possible. And I truly hope you will find their stories uplifting, inspiring, and motivational. The conversations are very open and candid and occasionally may include some adult language, so please take care when listening around little ones or grab some headphones. This podcast series is brought to you in association with Lily Badcock Confidence Coaching and the Confidence Academy Members Club. If you are ready to make the shift from anxious and frustrated to calm and confident, then visit www.lilybadcock.com today and get started with the free resources that are waiting there for you. I need you to know that you're not alone, that it can and will get easier, and that the transformation you seek is possible. You are more powerful than you know, and I'm here to teach you everything I know about harnessing that power and creating an amazing life on your terms. Before we dive in, don't forget to leave a review for us on iTunes and to check out the links in the podcast notes to the free resources we have available for you. But for now, let's get you on your way to living your epic life, free of anxiety and full of confidence. After all, confidence is yours as soon as you choose it. Hello, welcome back to the Confidence Academy podcast, and I am beaming from ear to ear because my guest today is one of the most beautiful souls you will ever have the fortune to come across. It's the gorgeous Brett Moran, and he's joining us all the way from Thailand, everybody. Brett, welcome.
Woohoo! How's it going? Hello, everybody on the Confidence Academy.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on here. And I just want to explain a little bit about why it's so touching that you're on this podcast. So to everybody listening, you guys know my story. I talk about it all the time. And a few years ago, I'd been diagnosed with anxiety. I was really struggling. And I remember clicking onto Facebook. And, you know, it's one of those divine moments where you feel like you're literally at the end of your tether, where you just don't know where to go. And you literally throw your arms in the air and you're like, oh, my God, give me a sign. Even if you don't believe in that, you know, you have that moment where you're just like, whoever you are, whatever it is, like, somebody help me because I don't know what to do. And I'd got to that point and I clicked on Facebook, as you do. And my friend had put up a post saying, are you feeling stuck? I was like, yeah. Are you feeling anxious all the time? Yeah. Do you need to reset and blah, blah, blah? And I was like, yes, yes, yes. And I was like, what is this thing? And it was an advert for a one-day conference conference makes it sound very boring. It was a day of transformation that Brett was actually heading up. And I went, and it was unusual for me to go because I had nobody to go with. So I, you know, got my kids sorted out and Kev was sorted out, and I got in my little car and I drove down and I went to this day and I watched Brett and all his amazing guests, and it just was the catalyst for absolutely everything that has happened to me since then. So in essence, this podcast exists because of this man that we're talking to today. So his story is just unbelievably phenomenal. I have touched on it on previous podcasts. In fact, I quote you a lot, Brett. I don't know if you've heard a lot of the episodes, but I do talk about you a lot. People are going to be like, who is this Brett she keeps talking about? This is the guy. So so welcome to the podcast. What I would love you to do is tell us your story in a nutshell, if that's even possible. Just so that anybody listening who maybe doesn't know who you are can get a feel for who you are, why it is you do what you do, and why you're so bloody beautiful.
Well, I was born beautiful, so that's a quick answer.
Yes, actually true as well.
But on a serious note, we just spoke before we came on live, and you just mentioned it again. I know that I put on that event and I invited some amazing people, and I know I've got the gift of the gab, and I love motivating people. But the reason why this podcast exists and why you're doing what you're doing is because there's something amazing inside you that always screams to get out, and that's the reason why the universe put that advert in front of you. But you really have to own that you're the one that's doing all the work. I just put an advert up and I just done an event. You're the one that's smashing it, And I think that's a really important thing that I want to share with people listening. It's just that we can say thank you, and it's great that other people inspire, but somebody's going to come along and say that to you. And it's like, you'll look at that person and go, no, you're the one doing that hard work. So my ego would love to take all the credit. I love a good old ego massage. But Lily, you're the one that's smashing it, mate. You're the one that's going for it and inspiring thousands of people. And that's the ripple effect, because the people that listen to your podcast, they now know that if Brett can do it and Lily can do it, they can do it. So that's just a message I always want to get off my chest for people, because, I said it to a guy that changed my life. I read his book and I said, oh, you did this. He said, Brett, he said, you did it. And I was just like, shit, you're right. I bloody did the work. So yeah, I take all the credit, but you're the one smashing it. And everyone that listens to this podcast, you can do it as well. You can get up, whatever your goal and your dream is, you can absolutely smash it. So that's my first little takeaway. There's my snippet. Boom.
It's so true as well. And I love that you said that, because actually in the beginning of my journey, well, not the beginning of my journey because I was a baby, but the beginning of this particular segment of my journey, I remember talking to my friend who's a hypnotherapist, and I had this belief that you're right, that everything good that had happened to me was because of outside things. I believed that the things that were good in my life were not because of me. And you're absolutely right. And I will take it, because you can listen to all the inspiring podcasts, you can read all the inspiring books, you can make a dream board and stick it on your wall, but until you get up and actually do the thing, and only you can do the thing. That's the thing. You can listen to a podcast, you can read a book, and that's step one. But just getting inspired on its own isn't enough. I wish it was, but it's standing up and going, do you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. All its imperfection. So I love that you started off with that. That's amazing. But I do love you as well.
No, I definitely take it. I am amazing. But I think we live in such a world where people, this is the problem. We live in a world where we are disempowered, where we have lost that power. We've lost our energy. I don't want to get into conspiracies and rants, but, I do love a conspiracy. I do love a rant. But whether it's like, the media or the news or the makeup or the fashion industry or the health and fitness industry for men, everything is disempowering us, making us feel like we're not good enough, making us feel like we can't change it, we can't do it. So we have to wake up and realize that number one, we live in that world. And then number two, like you just said, if we want to do something, we can do it. And then when we do it, praise ourselves up. Well done you for doing that. Well done me for getting up and doing that. Because we need to become our best friends. That's where I think your academy is all about. It's like self-love, self-confidence, self-worth, self-esteem. It comes when you reconnect to who you truly are inside. And you just, pardon my language, but you just piss off all the other stuff. You let go of all the other crap, and then you come back to you. Come back to you because you are beautiful. You have got that energy, and we can all do the things that we want to do. So number one, the whole thing is re-empowering ourselves. So yeah, that's just why I like getting off my chest. Anyway, enough about you and your academy. Let's get back to me.
I love it.
Too much of it's supposed to be about me, right? So my story. I started off on a council estate with just like beautiful parents, lived on a council estate on the outskirts of South London, and just the area that I lived in was just full of drugs and crime. And so like monkey see, monkey do. I just grew up taking loads of drugs and started, selling drugs and dealing drugs and committing crime. And when I first started, if I'm honest, I enjoyed it. There was like a buzz from it. It was like, it was just a party. But by the time I was about 16, 17, I realized I was addicted. The drugs got worse. And by the time I was 18, I was addicted to crack. Before my 21st birthday, I was sentenced to prison. And I think it was in prison where I realized that I kind of, pardon my language, but I messed up. I know you've got children there. So I realized that I kind of messed up.
You can F-bomb all you like.
Okay, perfect. Fucking brilliant. Just go for it. So I realised, now I know the kids are not talking, they listen, I can share and swear. I kind of realised that freedom was probably the most important thing to every human being on the planet, and whether that's kind of freedom from your own negative thoughts, freedom from your feelings, financial freedom, spiritual freedom, or adventure and time. I think deep down we all crave I think it's a human desire, freedom. And I can promise you, when you get sentenced to prison and they shut that door and then they lock that key and you're sitting in this grey, dingy prison cell, it's cold and you're all on your own, you realise like how you've lost that sense of freedom. And you just lost, you know. And so I was like I say, weren't even 21, and I was just lost. I was completely lost. And I was just, I just lost my sense of freedom. But thankfully, prison turned out to be the best thing, you know, ever happened to me. I found a book in the prison library. It was all about meditation. I was kind of like you know, when you said I was at the end of my tether, I was lost. I was in prison. I was taking drugs. I was smoking heroin. And then when I was in prison, I was just like God or universe. I didn't believe in all that stuff. I weren't like I am now. But I was just like, I begged for some kind of help. I was just like, something help me. And I went to the prison library for a drug deal to get some puff. And believe it or not, this book on mindfulness and meditation just jumped out at me. It's like the book found me, and I actually stole the book. I took it back because I didn't want anybody to think that I was going all spiritual and religious. And I was more embarrassed. If anybody saw me picking up this book, they're going to like bully me in prison. So I stole this book on meditation, which probably wasn't good for my karma. And I took it back to the prison. I took it back to my prison cell, and I swear to God, I just meditated for months and months. I'd done all the techniques that he was talking about, and I felt so free in prison. Prison turned out to be, it was okay in the end. I was like, oh, this is cool. This is a break. I haven't got to deal with the drug dealers. I'm not taking drugs. I got off the drugs in prison. I didn't do any rehab or anything. I just used the power of positive thinking. And I just, and then I wrote letters to everyone, said I'm a changed man. I'm going to come out and life is amazing. I've found the light. And, you know, again, my dad was a racist football hooligan. I never went to church. I never spoke about the law of attraction or confidence or spirituality. I used to go to Fulham and Chelsea and swear racist remarks at other people, you know. So when I'm in prison reading a book on meditation, religion, or whatever you want to label it, a part of me felt like I was losing the plot and I was going to join a cult. But another part of me just felt so connected. I just felt free. You know, I don't believe in a religion or a God or anything like that. I just believe in some kind of magic to life. And that book and my practice, like every day meditating, it helped me reconnect to who I really was and go beyond all the negative thoughts and negative feelings and find a sense of inner freedom. So when I came out, I lived happily ever after. No, not really. I came out, and within about the first day, I celebrated like getting released from prison. I think that night I literally got back on the booze, started snorting cocaine, and drugs got worse, patterns got worse, and then within a year I was sentenced back to prison again. But again, you know, and that's been my whole journey for 16 years now, nearly. So I've just been making so many mistakes, and then having this opportunity to come back and love myself and go, it's okay, Brett, you fucked up again. Now we need to really change. And then I came out of prison a second time. I moved areas, but, you know, I still had thousands of fuck ups and relapses and, you know, so much happened. But it was always now I really see, even this year, I just screwed up financially with a business opportunity. And like when it all happens, you're like, oh no. And now I'm like, wow, that was the best thing ever. It's always a lesson, you know? Yeah. I don't think, you know, when you're on this kind of journey of growth and transformation, it's just always positive, because even when you screw up in life, you can turn that into a positive. So my whole life for the last 16 years has just been messing up and then trying to learn how to figuring it right. You know, it's been amazing. It's been great. And now, like you said, I live in Thailand. I feel like I've got complete freedom. I make money online. I work for myself. This morning I woke up, I practiced yoga for about 2 hours. I've done meditation. I got a load of street dogs. I go to the beach. I walk along the beach with the street dogs. And then I come back and I make videos, and then I do online coaching, and I run yoga retreats around Thailand. So life is pretty sweet right now. It's amazing. Obviously, I got off of the drugs. I'm not smoking crack anymore, just in case you was wondering. And yeah, all good. Life is amazing.
Amazing. And I think really the freedom then is it's not the physical, tangible things. It's the fact that you're able to love who you are, regardless of what you may do or what may come your way. The true freedom comes when you accept it as a journey and as growth, and you look for the lesson and you take it and you don't hide from it. I think that's the key to freedom, isn't it? Because now you don't feel bound by outside circumstance. You don't think, this is all good, but it's only safe as long as I've got X, Y, and Z, because it's coming from you.
Yeah, Yeah, totally. I don't know how spiritual your online community is, so your podcast is, but I'm going to go out there. In Hinduism, they talk about Atman, A-T-A-M, and basically they believe it's the kind of divine source, the kind of energy, whatever you want to label that. You can call it God, the goddess, but they believe in the Atman, and they believe that every single person has got this source, this vibrational being within us. And the way I translate that is that is beyond your faults, that is beyond your feelings, that is beyond your identity of being a podcast interviewer, being an author, being a mother, being a son, and it's beyond all your actions and your behaviors. So when we can kind of look at everything that we do, like you just said, it's just an opportunity to spiritually grow, or when we can look at all of the things that we're doing in our life, but without this identification, without this attachment, and we believe that we're source, that we're energy, you can label that what you want. You know, when we kind of like your baby, you just picked up your baby right there, right? That there is pure consciousness. It's just pure love. And like your baby there isn't worried about the bills. It isn't worried about all the, you know, the emotions. Your baby's just beautiful. I can see. For everybody that's not looking on the podcast because they're listening to it, there's a beautiful baby just staring back at you on the screen. It's amazing. But to me, that baby just reflects what the Hindus talk about, like Atman, that spiritual divine being. And then when we grow up, we have all this identification with our fear, with our depression, with our anxiety, and we get so attached to it, but it's just an illusion. So I think, I know I'm in a bit deep. What I'm trying to say is like all those lessons, they help us become stronger, but they're not really who we are. They're just lessons along the path. And who we really are is that special baby, like that consciousness inside, which I love. I love just connecting to that.
I think you're so right. And I think that's why in prison, when you were in the situation you were in at the point mentally that you were at, that's why that book was still able to speak to you. Because on a level, like right in the core of your heart, you knew that what it was saying was true, that if you could just reconnect back to that, you could change anything else that had happened on the outer layers. And I think that's how I felt as well. And I'm the same. I mean, I was raised Christian. My parents are, well, my dad particularly is very religious. So that's how I was brought up. And then when I had my kind of my biggest, I would say, struggle with anxiety when the shit really hit the fan, and when when I was literally faced with it and I didn't know what to do, I realized that I'd lost all my faith, and everything I'd been taught growing up didn't fit anymore. It didn't make sense, and I felt more lost then than I've ever felt, because I think if you can't have faith in something, and it doesn't have to be a religion, just faith in anything is powerful. And when you feel like you've lost that, that's when you'll feel, completely disconnected. And my journey back has been a funny one, actually, because I think actually I've reconnected a lot with what I was brought up believing, but from a different perspective. So I know now when I talk to my dad, I see him like, he's kind of on the one hand, he's like, oh, this is awesome because she's talking about being spiritual and having faith, and she's, she's saying a lot of the right things, but she's kind of not quite saying it the way I would say it. I'm the same. Like, I don't talk about God. I don't talk about a man in the sky that we must all bow down to. And I don't believe there's a guy in the sky that's creating situations for us. And I feel a lot of people are disconnected from that because they can't relate to it. But I can relate to this feeling of just pure love. And you're right, a baby, if you want to see it with your own eyes, look at a baby, because their first reflex is a smile. They don't have worry and fear. They learn that from us. We teach them that, It's a gorgeous thing. And so now you are living, I know you joked earlier and you were like, no, I'm living happily ever after, but you have turned your life around completely. So tell us what it is, like, what is it that you're doing now? What's your reality now?
My reality now, I'm literally just looking at loads of palm trees. There's loads of coconut trees outside, and the beach is there, and there's tropical islands on the other side. So it's a little bit different to the prison cell that I was in.
Completely.
But just a few things. This is my concept. This is what I share on my yoga retreats. I believe that life wraps itself around your vibration. And your vibration, like frequency, basically is your energy. It's how you're feeling day to day. And like, so when I was in prison, I felt depressed. I was contemplating suicide. There was a few moments where I nearly took my own life. Before I went to prison, I tried to overdose. All these different things. And so then what happens is that's my energy inside. That's how negative I'm feeling. And then boom, I get arrested for something silly. And then I'm staring at four walls and I'm probably in the most negative environment you could ever like wish upon anybody. It's like horrible to go to prison because it's just dead. It's dull and numb. And so I kind of worked out after like 15 years now that as long as I'm feeling my best, as long as I'm healthy, nutritionally, physically, like emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, then my reality, my environment is just going to match up to my inner vibration, like how I'm feeling. So that's my concept. So it's like just focus on those four key areas: your psychological health, your emotional health, your physical health, and your spiritual health. So like, yeah, now I never chose, I wouldn't say I never chose it. I made a conscious decision, but like I'm vegan, I practice yoga every day, I meditate every day, I walk on the beach every day. But that is because it's like this, like you said, there's something in me that just loves now growing. I love like shedding layers of this ego of who I think I should have been, or who people think I should be, or even people tell us how we should live our lives or where we should live our lives. I'm like, every single thing anybody is saying is just a belief in their head, and none of the beliefs are real. No belief is real whatsoever. So I just decided to step outside of all that and just get myself into this really positive vibration. And now life just seems to wrap itself around that vibration. But with that said, and my little joke about I live happily ever after, it doesn't mean to say I don't feel negative. It doesn't mean to say I don't have stress. Like this year has been a really big challenge, but I just choose to see it as a great opportunity. And it doesn't mean to say that I don't have these little funks, like I don't label it depression or anything like that, but I still have energy moving through me. I still have negative thoughts, but I think it's how you deal with it. It's like, what do you choose to deal with it? Do you choose to let that take over? Or do you choose to, I use my negativity or anything that comes up as fuel. It just, if my mind says to me, oh no, you can't make that video because you're not good enough, I'm like, fuck yeah, I can. And then I get up and it's like my negative little monkey mind it's like my best cheerleader, because if it tells me I can't do something, I'll do it. Soon as, but I think the thing is when you give up, it's like when you go, I can't do it, you only lose when you agree with it and say, yeah, you're right, I can't do it. Even if you get up and try and you foul, you're not a failure. You just got to do it again and again and again. So I live happily ever after. I've got a beautiful environment, but I still have all the shit going on. It's just how you choose to deal with it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's perception is key. And I've said that a lot on this podcast because I feel like that's where I got with it as well. And I think, this is why my tagline is you can thrive in spite of anxiety, because I think it's not about trying to live a life where there's no stress, no depression, no anxiety, no worry, none of that. Because at the end of the day, we're human beings. We're having a human experience. We're spiritual beings in a human body. And part of being human is experiencing these different emotions. Sorry, my baby's trying to kick my earphones off my head. And I think, when you realize that actually you don't have to overcome it all, your job is just to shift the perception and to make a new choice. But what would you say? Because I know that what you're saying is right, because I've experienced it for myself as well. But what would you say to the person who may be where you were or where I was, where they're there right now? If they're listening to this and they're thinking, okay, well, it's all right for you, Brett, because you're sat in Thailand looking at a palm tree and a coconut and life's awesome for you. But to the person who is maybe staring at piles and piles of debt and they don't know how to get themselves out of it, or to the person who is riddled with health issues and they don't know, where to go from here, or to the person who just can't seem to find, that relationship that they're longing for, or that environment that they're longing for, and that person who's thinking, well, my vibration is low and I know it's low, but how the hell do I shift that? What would your advice be to that person? What's the first step?
The first step is to use the link that you're going to share with them. This is a shameless plug right now. I've got I've got a free online workshop on Sunday, the 26th at 10 a.m. UK time. And the reason why I'm sharing that is because what I would say is, first of all, don't listen to me and don't listen to Lily, right? You've got to find this for yourself. And so my whole mission is to empower people to listen to themselves. So the first thing I would say is, number one, close your eyes and start to connect to yourself, because your ego is not yourself. Your thoughts and all the stories that you've got in your head, that is not you. The biggest mistake that we've made in society is that we've latched onto this belief that we are these thoughts and stories. You're not the thoughts and stories inside your head. I know that sounds far out. If you're at the beginning, if you said that to me in prison, I'd be like, what are you on about? But I would just say, close your eyes and just connect to your heart. Breathe into your belly, your chest. Just get out of your head, because it's not true. And that's what's going to hold you back. And so the workshop on Sunday, which I share, is about how to get out of the subconscious mind and get back into your heart, basically. And then the second thing that I would say is, like, you need a vision. If you're sick and your health is poor, you need a vision of yourself being healthy, energized. If you're on drugs and you're going to prison, you need a vision of yourself being clean. If you're broke and you're in piles and piles of debt, you need a vision of yourself being wealthy and abundant. Whatever shitty situation you're in, you need a vision of the complete opposite. Because if you haven't got a vision, then you're going to stay stuck. So the first thing, step number one, connect to yourself inside. Don't listen to your head, and just start to regularly meditate. Regular practice. Even if you meditated for 8 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, that would change your life. And then step number two is you need a vision for your life. Now, you don't need to work out how you're going to get out of debt. You don't need to work out how you're going to heal your body. You don't need to work out how you're going to attract your soulmate and your love, or how to get out of depression. What you need is a vision. Don't worry about the how. Just let the universe or whatever make it up along the way. And then just pay attention to the signs. There'll be a sign. There'll be a book in prison for me, or there'll be an event like a workshop for you, or there'll be something, that person, it will come to you. But if you haven't taken the time out to connect to your heart, if you don't have that time out to have a vision, then all you're going to keep attracting is the thoughts inside your head and the stories, which chances are probably negative. So I would say that, connect yourself, create a vision, and enjoy my workshop Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds amazing. So how can they link to that? So we'll put that in the show notes, I'm guessing, if you send me that link.
Yeah, so I've got a YouTube channel, Brett Moran on YouTube, and I literally just made a video today, and it's all about how to change the subconscious programs in your mind, because we can consciously think, I want a new lover, I want to make money, I want to be healthy, I want to find, my passion, purpose in life. But on a subconscious level, chances are, if we're thinking I'm not good enough, I'll never find that lover, nobody will love me, I'm stupid, I'm ugly, I'm this, I'm that. That subconscious runs the whole show. So I just done a video today on YouTube on how to, you can literally go to the YouTube channel, watch that video, and you can get a free download, an MP3, 6 minutes. It's a guided meditation, and it just sweeps away these subconscious beliefs, because you have to change that subconscious mind. That's what I worked out. The reason why I kept going back to prison, kept relapsing on drugs, kept breaking up with girls, even this last situation about money, my business didn't really work out. The reason why these things happen is because we've got to self-sabotage. And we can get to a level of success, but then we'll sabotage ourselves. We don't think we're good enough. We don't think we deserve it. Blah, 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 all the bullshit. So we can consciously dream and have the vision boards and do all the law of attraction and think positive. But what we need to really, really do for long-term change and success or personal growth is transform those subconscious beliefs, because they run the whole show. Everything in your life right now, the money, the love, the energy, it's a reflection of the thoughts that you've got inside your head. Remember, life is wrapping itself around your vibration. So the YouTube video is all about how to change the subconscious beliefs, and then the workshop on Sunday is just a live workshop just to go a bit deeper.
Amazing. Well, I'm going to be doing that workshop for sure. So we'll pop the link in the show notes. And obviously, Brett's in Thailand. You don't need to be in Thailand. This is the beauty of the internet. You can just follow that link, follow along with that workshop. And I think, I've been in that place as well where, and I guess, it still comes around at times where when you're feeling right at the bottom of the pit, it sounds so trivial for someone to say, oh, all you need to do is meditate for a few minutes. And you'll be thinking, well, how's that going to help? That is your ego, though. That is exactly what Brett's talking about. That is the monkey mind. That is the bit that isn't you, that's trying to convince you that doing that isn't going to work, that connecting back to your heart isn't going to work. But what I would say to you is, why not try it anyway? Because right now, is what you're doing working out for you? I'm guessing not, if you're wanting to do this. So, you have nothing to lose. If you're getting a result right now that isn't what you want, then isn't it worth just giving it a shot anyway? And the other way to think of it is, that thing that is the bugbear of your life, whether it's health issues, money issues, love issues, whatever, think about how you think about that every single day. When you wake up in the morning and your mind floods with thoughts and worries, just recognize that that's what you're creating more of because of that. So you can consciously decide to flood your mind with a different image. So if you could start your day with a little bit of silence and a little bit of meditation. And I know the mums on here are going to be going, are you kidding? It's the school holidays. Like, how am I going to find time to meditate? But you really can. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. I think that's the key. You don't have to be sat at an altar with incense burning and, you know, all kinds of things around you, and, you know, in a yoga studio with dim lighting. Like, if your meditation has to happen at the end of the day, once everyone's asleep, when you're just led in your bed, do it that way. If it has to be first thing in the morning before the baby wakes you up, then do it that way. And, you know, you make it work for you, but don't let the imperfection put you off. And I think, you know, that's where I've come unstuck a lot of times, because I look around and I'm like, oh my God, like, meditation is the last thing on my list because I've got all these other things I've got to do. But actually, and for me, actually, it's my meditation. The thing that works for me is journaling. I find that meditative. And singing actually as well. Singing gets me in that state. It's just any state where you can calm everything down and breathe and allow emotions to flow, because then inspiration flows too. And then all you need is the bollocks to go, oh, I just got a little nudge and I'm going to follow it. It's just having the balls big enough to go, okay, well, I'm going to do that, even if I can't really see how that would work or why. It comes down to balls at the end of the day, doesn't it? It's that faith. Balls is another word for faith, I guess.
That's spiritually quoted by Lily now on the podcast. Balls is faith.
Balls is faith, yeah. And that's what we need. I'm getting that on a t-shirt. I love it. I love that. Oh, Brett, it's just been so awesome to chat to you. And actually, you know, this conversation could go for hours and hours. There's so many avenues we could go down. What would your message be? I ask this of everybody, but, you know, to anyone right now who's really struggling with their anxiety right now and really feeling that stress, what is it that you would want that person to know? If you had a megaphone right now and the ability to reach everyone struggling right now, what's your message to that person?
It would be back to meditation. I know it sounds boring, and I know you just given a great kind of example. I would just say, come back to the breath, come back to meditation. I've spent thousands on coaches, therapists. I've been on yoga retreats. I've traveled to India. I've traveled to Thailand, and all these amazing, wonderful places. And I meet all these great wannabe gurus. I've met scientists. I've met psychologists. But you know what? You are the best teacher. And so at the end of the day, meditation is completely free. You don't need anyone. You don't need a technique. All you need to do is stop and just realize that you're not the anxiety. You're not the depression. You're not the stress. And as you can go back to what that Hindu thing talks about, the Atman, if you can go back to that space inside where you're free, you can then see that there is a stress moving through you. There is an anxiety moving through you. Yeah, there may be depression, and it only moves through you. But when you identify with it, you're screwed. If you identify with it and you tell everybody, and this is your story, that you've got anxiety and I've got depression, it'll just stay with you for the rest of your life. What you need to do is just come back to meditation, which is 100% free. I've been doing it for 16 years. You don't, and like you said, meditation, I think when you sit down to meditate, there's two ways of doing it. You sit down and meditate, to set an alarm for 5 minutes or 30 minutes, that is strengthening your brain. That is giving you focus. That is giving you discipline. The key to meditation is not to stop thinking. As a meditator, you just observe the monkey mind. You watch the thoughts, you watch the feelings without any judgment. You're never going to stop thinking, and you're never going to stop feeling. So don't try and stop thinking and think you've got to be perfect. But to sit down for 5 minutes a day is training yourself to be disciplined. And then when the anxiety and the depression arise or they move through you, you don't be attached to them. Second way to meditate is just to go through your living day. Be the mum, go to school, do the kids, mindfully do everything, one thing at a time. If you're with your child, chances are you're not thinking about EastEnders or what you're doing tomorrow, what's for dinner. When you're really in the moment and you're present, you can meditate doing anything, stroking the dogs, walking on the beach, drinking a coconut, even your job. If you hate your job, the best way to transform it is to be more mindful. When you're mindful and you live in the moment, there is no stress, there's no anxiety, there's no depression. And I'm not trying to take that away from anybody, but what I'm trying to say is studies actually can't show you where anxiety, you can't hold stress in your hand. You can't hold stress. You can't hold depression. It comes from a thought. It comes from an emotion. It comes from the mind wandering. So the best way to bring that back in is to train the mind to be mindful. So you can sit down, cross-legged like a guru and a hippie and start chanting. And yeah, you can do it for hours. That's all good. But your opportunity, this is what my meditation teacher taught me. He lived in a temple for 10 years in silence. and he lived in Osho's temple for 20 years. So he spent about 30 years in temples in India and Thailand. And he said his meditation practice began when he bloody left the temple. He said anyone can sit in a cave. Anyone can sit in a cave, not have children, not have bills to pay, and not have all the stresses. He said, but when you live life, that's the lessons from life. You know, how do you deal with it? How do you notice? How do you recognize the stress, the anxiety? And that is your meditation. That's your practice. It's just breathing through it. So there's many different ways to do it. I would say that was a bloody long answer, wasn't it? It was a really long answer, Brett. I'm off. I'm on a roll. I don't even know what the question was. Meditation. My answer is meditation for everything. Meditation.
Yeah, I love that. And so anyone who's wanting to learn more about this, definitely click that link in the show notes. Show up to the workshop. Is there a replay, Brett, or is it a show up live only deal?
No, it's a show up live, and then you get the replay if you sign up. But then even if you think that's some hype and, you know, some internet crap, like there is so much out there, go on my YouTube and get my free meditations. There's 8-minute meditations, there's yoga videos. Just go and download something. Even if it's not me, go and find somebody and find that book or find that event, find that thing and take action, because you're not going to get peaceful and calm if you don't sit down and meditate. You're not going to get the information if you don't turn up to the workshop. So you need to take the action, like you said. That is meditation as well.
Yeah. Awesome. So click those links. We'll put them all in the show notes so that you can follow them on there. And Brett, just very quickly tell us about what's happening, because you just relaunched your coaching program, didn't you?
Yeah, so I've got an online coaching program. It's called Brett's Tribe. I do weekly motivation, meditations. For me, it's a whole transformation. You can meditate, you can be physically healthy, you can make money, but I'm into like the whole process of transformation, like de-stressing, really finding your purpose and seeing what it's all about. So every week I've got a private Facebook group. It's like £9 a week. It's the same price as a takeaway, and people can just get coached by me. And then I've got one-to-one coaching. So I do more intense and more private coaching. And then obviously I've got my retreats where if you really need a break and you want to take a kind of experience, I bring people over to Thailand. We do 7 days of yoga, meditation, and all my workshops. And I've got my second book coming out probably next summer. I was going to do it this year, but yeah, I couldn't be bothered. I thought I'd do it next year. There's no rush.
Brett's book, by the way, this is how much I love Brett's book. I bought it, of course, when it came out, so I have the hardback copy. And then I realized that I wasn't making enough time to read it. So then I bought it again on Audible so that I could listen to it. And so now he's in my ears a lot. And it's called Wake the Fuck Up.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible. So you can, like, you know, if you're interested to learn more about his story, you go into your story a lot, don't you? It's kind of, you kind of take us through that. And it's a brilliant book because it's not one of these things where you're just reading about somebody else's success story. Brett will literally, he tells a bit of his story, he shows you the transformation he went through, and then it all stops and there's actually an exercise to do. There are things to do throughout the book where he'll be like, right, now stop and go and do this thing. Like, write that list or do this exercise. Like, do it now. It's not about, you know, it's like I said right at the top, it's not enough just to listen and go, oh, he's a very inspiring guy. He is. But he's giving you the opportunity on a silver platter. Very handsome. But do you know what it is, though? It's because you can see your soul. It just bursts out of every part of you. That's the beauty. That's why you're beautiful. That's what makes somebody beautiful in my eyes anyway. That's what I think. It's when you can see, you see it in their eyes, you know, this person just has this glow, and it's not about being perfect. It's not about, like you said, living without stress or not making mistakes. It's having that connection to that soul piece. And that's what people will see when they see you. So yes, he is a very beautiful man and very modest as well, as you can see.
Yeah.
So we'll link to that book as well, because Wake the Fuck Up is already out, and then obviously there's book number 2. So that's out next year, is it?
I think so. I was getting all stressed, and I was trying to get it happening, and actually I just turned our publishers down. They weren't really my cup of tea, and that goes back to like your whole thing. It's like when you start to have this self-confidence and this stuff, it's a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. You go through your anxieties and you go through stuff, but on the other side of all that shit, there's a gift. If you face your anxiety, if you face your addiction, if you face your depression, most people try to avoid it, or they take a tablet and they go, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do that stuff, try that way. But what I would say is, like, just roll your bloody sleeves up, get in there, because on the other side of that is such a gift, you know. Yeah. And now my whole my whole thing of taking drugs and life that I went to was always back to self-esteem. I just didn't love myself. I didn't like myself. And it was all about confidence. Hence why it's a pleasure to come on this Self-Academy Confidence podcast, because it's just so important. And now I've got that confidence. I've just said no to publishers. I've decided to change the date I want to publish my book, because at the end of the day, it's my life. It's my stuff. And I'm not bothered about it. And I don't mean that in a childish kind of way, but when you can get to this level of confidence, and it is a journey, it's taken 16 years for me to get there, you really are back in the driving seat of your life. Life really is a little adventure, and you don't have to worry about what other people say or think of you. You don't have to conform to any little silly boxes. This is your once in a lifetime life. So live it how you want to live it. And if you've got stress and problems and issues, like, embrace it, welcome it, thank the universe, because it will actually turn into be a diamond in the rough. You know, it really, really is.
Yeah. I heard a quote, actually, or I read a quote this week where somebody was saying, they were talking about, I don't think it was anything specific. I think she was just saying whether it's stress or whether it's anxiety or whatever it is that you feel you're struggling with, there is no getting around it, over it, under it. The only way is through. You put your head down, you steel yourself, and you go, because on the other side is exactly what you want. And I've said it before, I actually think these challenges that come up, they're not the blocks we think they are, they're stepping stones. So instead of running up against them and banging your head and going, oh God, I can't get any further, climb up on top of it and elevate yourself, get to it. It's the direct route to everything you're asking for. And I know how hard that is to hear when you're struggling. It's like, oh Jesus, like, I really don't want this. Well, you know, it's again, like how I talk to myself. This is how I talk to myself. It's like, well, you know, you can sit and worry about this and make this something bad, or you can decide that it's good and find the lesson and choose to elevate. It is a choice. And at the end of the day, you've only got you. It's only you and your thoughts. So choose to think something different. And if you think it won't work, that's the thought as well. Try it anyway, you know, and then if you're right, come and tell me. But it worked for me.
Do you know what I think? Just rounding it all up and just coming back to it, like, because again, meditation, it sounds like a really simple thing. How can that change your life? But but to go really deep, what meditation actually does is it really brings you back to that source. And when you're in that source, you are love. It's a love vibration, like a baby. You look at your baby isn't angry, isn't hating, it isn't judging and comparing its cot, thinking, oh, why is my clothes different to those clothes? Your baby is just a bundle of joy and love. And I honestly believe that is how vibration. The Dalai Lama says our job is just to go back there. When you go back there, organically, naturally, your life will change, right? So and you're not going to get back there when you're listening to your thoughts. You're never going to get back there when you're in the stories. You're never going to get back there when you're in anxiety and depression. The only way you're going to get back there is when you give yourself 5 minutes out of the day. I don't care whether you sit on the beach, or whether you sit in your house and you turn the lights off, or whether you have to go to an ashram in India. You're only going to get back to your heart, where you came from, when you give yourself that time. And when you start going back there and you see your own beauty and you connect to how much love you really are, your inner voice changes. You start becoming more loving to yourself and more kind. And you can pull yourself out of the shit, like I did this year. I've had a few things, but I'm pulling myself out of it from a place of love. If I was still beating myself up and saying, you're stupid and you always happen, then I would never get out of the lesson. So I'd repeat it. So I know meditation sounds very simple and blasé, but it's not just because we can meditate. It's because we can come back to a place of love. We can come back to a place of consciousness. And when we get there, you don't need to see, like they say, you don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take the first step. You don't need to see the whole top of the mountain. You just need to take the first step. There's no way in a million years me and you could have worked out how we both will get into this moment right now. 1 minute I'm at an event in Bournemouth, 1 minute I'm sitting in prison smoking crack. There's no way in a million years we could have sat back and gone, well, where will you be in 10 years? Oh, I'll be interviewed by Lily on a podcast. It's impossible, right? But we couldn't see it. And I can't see where I'm going to go now with my next book. Maybe you can't see where you're going now with the podcast. But all you got to do is get up today and interview me. And all I've got to do is show up and talk and try and inspire 2 or 3 people that might listen. It's thousands of people, but 2 or 3 people might just get that message. That's all we had to do. And then tomorrow we've got to do it again. But we will only fail if we stay underneath the core and think, oh, I'm not getting out of bed today because it ain't going to work. You just got to get up and go for it. Another little long answer there. I love a rant.
I love it. I love that. It's so powerful. So, thank you for being here.
Powerful. Everybody on here is powerful. We're all powerful. I love it.
Yes, it's so true though. It's absolutely true. And I feel your energy coming through me, through the screen, through me as well.
Dodgy.
But I'm really hoping.
The PG podcast.
I know you guys. Yeah.
Just to butt in, Wayne Dyer, bless him, he passed away. He's a really beautiful writer. If you've never heard of Wayne Dyer, go and get some of his books, listen to his stuff on YouTube. And I can't remember exactly the words that he said, but basically he said, if you could see your own light, you would break down in tears at how beautiful you are. If you really could see, everyone listening, if you really could look in that mirror and see yourself, not for who you think you are, not for the actions and behaviors or the feelings, but if you could really reconnect to your light, I get goosebumps now. I can feel it in me. We would break down because we're so beautiful, Lily. We're so powerful. We're so special. We just need to come back to that.
Oh, I'm covered in goosebumps. I love that. It's just the perfect thing to finish on. Thank you so much for being here. And to everybody listening, I hope you felt that. I'm sure you did, because I mean, I'm literally covered in goosebumps here. Little Sophia is all settled on my lap as well. So she's feeling very serene and peaceful. And, I say it at the end of every podcast, confidence is yours as soon as you choose it. And I think the more you say that, it can get a little blasé, but it really is just that choice. And you can choose to connect back to that beauty that is inside every single one of you, as Brett said. So thank you for being here. Brett, thank you so much for being here as well. Love you too. And to everybody listening, confidence is yours as soon as you choose it. I'm going to be back very, very soon with another episode. In the meantime, go to those show notes, download those meditations, get involved in that workshop that's happening on Sunday, and sign yourselves up. Am I right in thinking if they sign up for your monthly coaching program, they get the first month free?
They don't. I actually stopped it, but as if they're a listener to Lily's podcast, then yeah, they definitely can as a gift. Yeah, they can get 30 days free. So you just come along, you can get a free 30-day trial. You can see how it goes. It's like you can cancel it anytime. It's literally, my mission is just to help people smash it, just to wake up, just to feel that love that's inside them. So come and try it out for 30 days. If it's your cup of tea, stay with us. If not, then crack on, find something else.
Amazing. So that link will be in the show notes as well. So you guys can click that. Any questions, get involved, ask me. You can go over to the Confidence Academy podcast Facebook group and connect over there, ask your questions, get the conversation started. But in the meantime, have a wonderful day. I'm sending you all lots and lots of love, and I'll be back very soon. Brett, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a great day.
Bye-bye. And that's us done for another episode. I hope you are now feeling uplifted, inspired and motivated, and ready to start making those positive changes starting today. To get you started on your journey, I've created the Confidence Academy Members Club. This is an online resource designed to teach you everything you need to know about thriving in spite of anxiety, building unshakable confidence, and creating life on your terms. As a member, you will have access to weekly coaching calls with me and online trainings to help you manage your anxiety, overcome stress, and build confidence. Each month, we host a members-only masterclass with a guest expert from the podcast, giving you the opportunity to access world-class trainings and techniques for a fraction of the cost. For more information, head over to lilybadcock.com or hit the link in the show notes below. In the meantime, I'll be back again soon with another new episode and more amazing guest experts. But until then, look after yourself, dream big, and live bigger. And remember, confidence is yours as soon as you choose it.